In this video, we're going to talk about benefiting from your testing. So to benefit from our testing, we need to actually make reviews of the testing that we've done. It's all good putting in the hours to do the work, to do the markups, and to actually track everything in the Trading Buddy or in Notion. But unless you actually review the backtesting, you're not going to get much out of it in the long run. So what is it that you should actually review when you've got all your data together? Now, the first big thing to review are going to be losses. Now, you may have a 50% win rate, a 60% win rate, a 70% win rate, but you need to know exactly what that is, or roughly around how many trades you can expect to win out of, say, every 10 trades you take. The reason you want to know this is because you need to be prepared to run into losses equivalent to the ratio that happens in your backtesting. You don't need a solid figure like 65.39%. You don't need to know that. But if you, on average, know that you win every 5 to 6 trades out of every 10 trades you take, that's going to allow you to stay confident through 4 or 5 losses. Another thing to consider on the losses front is what is a normal amount of losses to actually take in a row. Sometimes when you're live trading, you're going to run into a losing streak. You may lose 2 trades or 3 trades in a row, and what this can do is actually dishearten you and knock your confidence. If you can see from your testing that a losing streak is fine, and you've taken a few losing streaks in your back testing and come back from them every single time, then that's cool. That's actually going to boost your confidence because you're going to see, okay, these losing streaks are normal. And with my strategy, as long as I continually repeat the process, I'm going to overcome the losing streak easily. On the flip side, if your losing streak gets out of hand and it doesn't align with anything within long-term testing, you may know, okay, maybe I need to change my approach a little. Maybe I need to work on my strategy, make some updates because things are not going so well. You should never be hasty to update your strategy and try and change the way you work because the best way normally is to just continue repeating the process that would work for you. So it takes a lot to actually make the decision to change your strategy. But if you are on a devastating losing streak and it doesn't align with anything within your work and you're not doing anything different, then maybe it's time to change your approach. So the next topic is confluences. This is really useful because this is how you pick out the strongest and weakest areas of your technical work. When you're looking at confluences, obviously we're looking at the reasons to enter a trade. Now, all of these are tracked. We have a markup showing the confluences, and we should also have a list of the confluences written out in description form like I showed you in the previous video. So from this data, we can actually think what confluences are forming on our best trades. What confluence is it that leads to the best opportunities? And on the flip side, what confluences or changes to the normal confluences cause losses? Some losses are just going to happen because that's the nature of trading. We are working a probability-based game. But from this, what you'll actually realize is sometimes losing patterns occur within your trading that you can remove. Now, for example, an idea of this is when I was backtesting early in the year, some of my backtest trades, I would be super aggressive and not wait for a break of structure on the significant time frames. Okay, so let's say, for example, I was trading the 15-minute time frame. I wouldn't wait for a 15-minute break or a 10-minute break. I'd be looking at 1-minute breaks, which when you zoom out to the 15-minute, you notice hasn't actually broken the structure whatsoever. So I noticed a pattern of losses from the trades that followed this method because obviously I wasn't trading the significant structure, so to speak. So this allowed me to actually cut those trades out, and then I could therefore avoid them in my personal trading, and it brought me better results. I started taking less losses because I was only trading when there's a significant structure break on the right time frame. So you're going to find losing patterns like that you can remove through your testing, and what that's going to do is actually cut down your losing rate when you're trading live. On the flip side, you may find something that works amazing. You may crack the code, so to speak, with the technical confluences in your testing, and then you can actually build upon those winning patterns and just continue to use those and continue to progress with those. So another thing to cover in terms of backtesting is timing. This is an important one, and this comes down to, we spoke about timing your backtesting with the days, the weeks, and even the trading sessions you trade, New York session, London session, Asia session, and so on. That is why we do that. What we can do now is come to our backtesting reviews, see the timing on the trades we've taken, and consider these things. What time are my trades often executed? Perhaps you execute most of your trades in the London session, in which case you should then make that your favored session to actually trade when you're trading live. Perhaps you take your trades between the London and New York sessions, and it doesn't really matter which one you execute trades within. Maybe based on the trades you take, trades that happen overnight work best. Now, this is a strange one, but for some people it could be the case. Say you're trading Japanese yen and Australian dollar, maybe your most profitable trades are ones you take and hold through a night. If that is the case, you're only going to learn that from testing, and it can really adapt your strategy. Timing plays a bigger part in trading than many people realize and many people consider. Another thing to consider on the topic of timing is how long do you actually spend in a trade? If you're a day trader and your testing shows you in a trade for anywhere between 15 minutes to 1 hour, then this is going to help you understand how long you're going to be in your trades. If, however, you are taking longer term trades that potentially take 10 hours or 2 days or a week to play out, you need to consider this when you're trading live, because obviously when you're back testing, everything happens in seconds because you skip the candles forward. But in a real scenario, you have to consider the emotional and mindset implications of holding a trade for 10 hours, 20 hours, 60 hours, and so on. So by reviewing your testing and seeing trades take a long time to play out, but playing out successfully, you can actually consider that when you're in a live trade and use that to build your confidence so you don't have to sit and stare at charts and you're not constantly checking your phone every hour to see how the trade's doing. So when you understand the timing from the testing, you understand exactly what you should be looking out for and what you should really expect when it comes to your live trading as well. So the next topic to talk about is entries. The primary thing here is thinking about the different types of entries, risk entries and confirmation entries. An important consideration, which I've heard from a few students, is do you have an unusually high loss rate when you're using the risk entries, okay, straight sell or buy limits into trades? These don't work for everyone. They are obviously riskier than confirmation trades because you are essentially selling or buying into a market based on zones and not actually waiting for the lower time frame confirmation to point you in the right direction. So obviously, risk entries can cause more losses. Some people, they cause a catastrophic amount of losses, and you may see from your testing that you have an unusually high loss rate when using risk entries, but you have a great win rate when you're using the confirmation entries. Therefore, you could just go ahead and cut risk entries out entirely. You may also find on the flip side, though, that your confirmation entries are missing and you're actually missing out on a lot of opportunity, whereas your risk entries are doing well. So it all depends on you, what you find within your testing and what's working best for you. And overall, reviewing your testing in this way is going to show you, okay, I need to be just using risk entries, or I need to just be using confirmation entries, or I can use a combination of the two. The only way you're going to find out which is best for you is by doing the testing reviews. Another consideration on the trade side is stop loss orders. So something to consider here is, are your stop losses getting hit often? Are they getting hit too often maybe? So the cause of this could be that you're putting them too tight to chase risk reward. Now it's good to get high risk reward, but it's bad if you're chasing it too much, using illogical stop losses and actually losing loads of trades because you're trying to get 1 to 10s, 1 to 15s and so on. Sometimes it's better to go with lower risk reward and actually win more trades. Okay, you'll find that in your testing, you'll see maybe your stop losses are positioned well, but maybe they're getting hit too often because you're not putting them above significant swing points or below significant swing points. So that's something to consider. If your stop losses are getting hit often, you can think why, you can diagnose that and then work upon that. On the flip side, maybe your stop losses are bigger than they need to be. Maybe from your analysis, you can see that you have an extra 5 or 10 pips on pretty much every stop loss that doesn't even get traded into. In instances like this, you could actually look at cutting that 5 or 10 pips off your stop, testing that way, and if it works successfully, you can do that live. Because sometimes by cutting 5 or 10 pips off your stop, you can double or triple your risk reward ratios. So if your stop losses are too big, that is also a problem that you can diagnose. Obviously, it's not such a big problem as getting stops hit too often, but by refining it and by diagnosing that problem and working with it, you will see that you can actually get way better risk reward without changing too much about your trading strategy. And a final consideration on the stop loss front is what stop loss management rules work best for you. So we spoke about scale-ins and stop loss management rules in the Getting Smart chapter at the end of the technical area. Perhaps you like to just move stops to break even and let the whole trade run. Perhaps you find it best when you don't move your stops to break even because that leads to more break evens and actually misses out on a lot of opportunity. Or perhaps you like the scale approach where you trail your stop loss behind each higher low or lower high in the market. I like this way because it means we lock in nice profits on every single movement and we can follow the trend until the trend breaks. But you may find that something else works better for you, as many people do. So there are a lot of things that you can actually learn from your testing. Now what we need to think about is putting your testing into a routine. Now, when it comes to your testing reviews, you should carry these out regularly, otherwise you're not going to make the most of the backtesting that you've done. In my opinion, it's good to start out with weekly refreshes. So go through your backtesting once a week and review, as much data as you can and get on top of it and see, okay, how did I do over the previous few weeks? How did I do over the long-term period? What can I change? What can I actually refine? Or is everything going well? If everything's going well, you don't have to work too hard on changing things. Changing things can cause problems if there are no problems present as it is. Another good thing to do with your testing reviews is to throw yourself a recap when needed. Okay, sometimes we're going to get, in a bad mindset. We might take a few losses, or we may just feel like we need a refresh on our strategy. Perhaps we've broken some rules, and we need to see the strategy in action. We need to see it winning to get us back on the right path. So taking recaps when needed is also very beneficial, and you can just do this anytime. Maybe you've gone a few days and you are, getting stressed out. You need to see your strategy. Go and have a look. Go and see it working in action. Perhaps you haven't looked in a long while, a few weeks, and you're actually starting to lose the flow of your strategy. If you go back, see it working, get familiar with all the confluences, the management, everything, that's going to put you in a good mindset, boost your confidence back up, ready to live trade. So in the next video, we'll talk about putting your testing and putting your testing reviews into a routine, and then we'll be coming close to the end of this chapter.